Yeah, I'm live. It's live right now. Go ahead.
Okay. All right, guys. Everybody, we are back. It is Take Don't Lie. It is your instant reaction live stream podcast. You guys already know what to do. Subscribe. You're checking this out on YouTube. You're checking this out on iTunes later on. Later on after this, you're checking this out on iTunes or Spotify on the Silver and Black Pride Podcast Network. Make sure you hit the download button or you hit the subscribe button there. Like I said, you're hearing this on YouTube as well. Make sure you hit the like button. If you don't like it, hit the dislike button. Leave a comment if you like it. Leave a comment if you don't like it. And then make sure you follow us on Twitter. We got M Holder 95 for Matt Holder. And then we got BD Williams at BD Williams 18. And we got me at the Mark John NFL. All right, guys. Well, the Raiders went out there and they, the offense laid a dud. I wouldn't say the offense laid a dud. I'd say they just, they laid a dud.
I'd say the offense laid
they laid a dud. So they laid a dud. Just didn't look very sharp. Let's just say that. Didn't look very sharp in the passing game. And that's basically kind of most of the story because the running game was pretty good. And the defense, even though teams are able to run the ball on them, and I think they did have a little problem on third down this game. But other than that, they didn't score too many points really, have a dominant movement. Daniel Jones probably didn't throw the ball more than 10 yards in this game. So it was interesting dynamic. The Giants, strong point is their secondary. And, we highlighted that and the stuff that Patrick Graham does with that secondary. So I think that was a part of the story too in this game is that, it just a lot of looks. You could tell Carr was confused. He was holding the ball in the pocket a lot.
Of course.
You know what I'm saying?
It's going to happen. It's going to happen with this defense for sure. I think the other thing too, that obviously it's obvious. The Raiders had an issue with Henry Ruggs being out, and figuring out how their offense is going to work now without that guy in the lineup.
Yeah.
And, I think we saw Renfro and Waller kind of get some burn early on, but who was winning outside? There's opportunities against this defense. It's going to be one-on-one on the outside. Someone's got to win outside. Carr couldn't figure out the connection with Zay Jones, Brian Edwards on the outside. Obviously there was issues going on, with Carr. Ball security was an issue, for him in this game. But I also think just extrapolating a little bit on, who's going to step up in the absence of Ruggs, and we didn't really see someone step up.
Yeah. Go ahead, your thoughts, Matt.
Yeah, kind of like you guys said. It was disappointing to see Brian Edwards. I know he wasn't going to fill Henry Ruggs' role or anything like that, but to go, I think he was blanked, right? I know he got targeted once, but no catches, no yards. Yeah, blanked.
Uh-huh.
A guy like that, those are the kind of guys where in this situation, you're hoping that he's going to be the guy that's at least winning on the outside when it didn't seem like it is. And on top of it, Carr probably played his worst game of the season. You talk about holding on to the ball too long. We talk about all that stuff. And so many missed opportunities. The one that sticks out in my mind is the one where Darren Waller's just wide open. All he's going to do is drop it to him. And, it's 6 points. But it was like you said, like you kind of were talking about. Thought the defense actually played pretty well. Offense just couldn't hold up their end of the bargain. Knew it was going to be tough sledding, but to lose to a team like the Giants that were 2-5 coming into the game, regardless of how good their defense is, it just can't happen.
Yeah. And, at this point in time, with the NFL, sometimes, record could be a little bit deceiving, I just think that secondary, they're just not talked about a lot. So it's like when they struggle, when you see your offense struggle against the Giants, it just looks like what the hell's going on. But I think that secondary is a lot better than people give credit to. You got a Dory Jackson over there. You got, Bradbury. You got Xavier McKinney, who had 2 interceptions, Logan Ryan's over there. Those guys they know how to see people. Half those people came from the Patriots. Some of those guys came through the Patriots system a little bit, or that kind of mindset of some of those things. So, they know what they're doing.
It's a slept on, underrated unit. For
Yeah,
sure.
and
if you're a casual football fan, the Raiders losing the Giants is like, okay, Giants suck, right?
Yeah,
but
exactly.
In reality, no, like this is actually a pretty damn good defense.
Yeah, it and what they're designed to do, they made Carr do all game was just check down, and Carr was taking him, and they were able to move the football 20-20, right? And because he was able to take those check downs, hit Kenyon Drake. I think Kenyon Drake had like 70 yards receiving at total 100 yards total. With running and receiving. He had a good connection with him. He was able to hit him underneath, and he was able to get lots of yak because how the Giants play defense. So, but what happened was when they got in the red zone and, it was time to play, a little bit of big boy against that man match defense. And, that's what they do. They do that so well. I mean, you need guys to win, and they weren't winning really in the red zone. And the one time they did, he missed. I mean, so.
Yeah. I mean, to add to what you're saying, like definitely knew the Giants defense was going to be a pretty good unit, and like you said, underrated unit. It doesn't help when guys like Quincy Roche, when they're also getting contributions from guys like Quincy Roche and Azeez Ojulari, and even Xavier McKinney, who's not been a consistent contributor for him. I mean, definitely it's that, but yeah, it also makes it almost more frustrating. Like what you're saying, it's like the fact that they were able to move the ball between the 20s so well, and then all of a sudden they get in the red zone, and like you said, they just didn't have it, but.
Yeah, and even in the red zone, go ahead.
They stopped running the football down there.
Yeah. They weren't running the football in the red zone. They really didn't try too much. I mean, the one time they did was like 2nd and 10. I mean, you can't run a ball on a 2nd and 10, bro. Come on. So,
I hate it when teams do that. Like if you're running the ball and it's getting you down there, just run the ball in the red zone. Okay, come on.
Yeah, they started trying to get cute with like screens and stuff on first down, and they weren't working. So they give them like 2nd and 7s and things like that. That's kind of a lot of things that happen in the red zone. But it goes back to having those guys that can separate when outside. When you got Zay Jones and Bryan Edwards out there and they're not winning. And then, Darren Waller, he's not winning really in the red zone either. And you have to depend on Hunter Renfrow to be the only guy that can win one-on-ones in the red zone. I mean, you're a little bit of trouble there too. So, I mean, they have to be able to run the ball in the red zone because they really just don't have the separators in there to have guys that separate and win like that. Right. And so,
yeah, I mean, Edwards hasn't become that goal line red zone kind of, just throw it up, fade, jump ball, guy. He hasn't developed into that yet. He's had clutch moments. Don't get me wrong. He's looked good in spots, but like, it's not become like a consistent part of his game. Oh, fade to, Edwards down here. Hopefully we can start seeing some more of that. I don't know why we're not seeing that down there. That was a big part. Like we saw in Crabtree, like that was his game in Carr, like, back in the day. So I don't know why Edwards isn't being used like that, but definitely would like to see something like that happen and running the ball in the red zone.
Well, let me ask you this to that question. Do you trust Edwards at the catch point right now?
No, since the Gruden thing, no.
I was going to say the same thing. Like, I was going to ask you guys, like, are there opportunities where he's like getting like isolated one-on-ones, 50-50 balls, and Derek just doesn't have his trust right now? Or is it he's just not getting open and like it's a combination of both? Like, I've always been curious about that with him. Is like, does Derek Carr just not trust him yet? Does he not have the chemistry with Bryan Edwards right now? He doesn't trust him to win those 50-50 balls like he did with Crab.
I think he trusts him to win those. I think the one play on I'm sure it was a Yankee if I go watch it when they do that post and Adoree Jackson did what, how teams play the Yankee right now. Just come from the other side. Right. And I don't think Carr saw him because Carr was under pressure. So he's like, okay, I'm just going to trust Bryan Edwards. So he just threw it up, but Edwards misjudged it too. And I mean, that's another place where you miss Ruggs because Ruggs had a contested catch type of element to him. So it's plays and deep balls like that you miss, that type of player. And I don't know if Deshaun Jackson fills that role. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, what I'm saying? He doesn't fill that role either. So, but back to your question, Matt, I would say that he trusts Bryan Edwards, but I don't. I mean, I don't trust him at the catch point at this point.
Gotcha.
I mean, like even in the Bears game, I mean, when he had that drop at the catch point in the red zone, I mean, I just don't trust him to have the hands and catch the football at this point, So
yeah, I'm not sure if you're talking about the same one, but is that the one where he's wide open, like towards the sideline on third down? I'm remembering.
Well,
I'm picturing
that
right
one,
now.
that one too. But I'm
Okay.
talking about the first one in the
There's
red
another
zone
one?
where they just knocked the ball out of his hand, but he never really caught it.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? Like
Gotcha.
that those things happen with him a lot more than people
Yeah.
think. So
It's frustrating.
yeah.
You brought it up though. I think we got to talk about it. I mean, kind of twofold. Breedy brought it up. How much do you guys think the Raiders missed Henry Ruggs, and then adding Deshaun Jackson with the new news that is the silver lining of what it is today? I mean, I'm curious about what your guys' thoughts on adding Deshaun and what they're missing today without Ruggs.
See, I mean, with missing Ruggs, I think Ruggs was becoming more of a complete receiver too. I mean, he was developing a good connection with Carr, and Carr was able to anticipate where he would be, right? And he had really good anticipation when he was throwing to him. You know, he has good anticipation throwing to Waller. I think sometimes him and Renfro can get a little off because Renfro, he likes to shake and bake, right? And that's kind of like something, if you brought in OBJ, that's something that you would have to worry about too, is you get to the shake and bake, kind of like when you saw that the interception, you know, Carr can't really anticipate when Renfro is going to get out of his break because you got to let him do his thing, right? It's kind of like, you got to look at it that way. Okay, yeah, he's winning. I mean, it happened in the red zone, right? And it caused a touchdown. You got to trust Renfro that he's going to shake and bake. He's got to win. So it's going to be late, but Carr can't throw it inside, right?
Right.
You can't be late and inside. If you're going to be late, you got to be like perfect, right to the sideline, first down. So
that shouldn't be an interception. That's a cheap interception. Okay. You don't make that play in the NFL. In the NFL, that receiver turns around, the ball is right there on time.
Yeah.
You know, and you make the tackle. Okay. Being able to undercut it and like, come on, that's like college stuff.
Yeah.
Like that was a terrible ball. Terrible ball.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's gonna happen. You know?
Yeah. It was off the ball. But that's what I'm talking about when you have that kind of shake and bake guy. Renfro won though, but you just can't be late. If you have to be late and wait for him to win, you can't be inside. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's basically what I'm saying. So, but Deshaun Jackson, I think he's going to cause teams to, of course, respect him. And if he goes deep, they're going to be able to run some the kind of the concepts they had that they ran with Henry when Henry was running deep passes. But when it comes to you know, winning and learning how to win, I think, you know, that's something that Ruggs was doing when he was developing, and it was somebody that Carr could trust that way to win. Yeah. And, you know, I think they just got to get Waller more involved. I really feel like we could stop the sharing now. You know, Ruggs is gone. You know, we kind of see what Edwards is like. We can stop the sharing now. It's been fun. We shared, guys. We did some sharing, and, you know, sharing is caring. But the last drive, to me, it was like you saw the choice routes get in. I haven't seen him run a choice route in like weeks, man. I haven't seen him do that. And he first down every single time, And they need to get back to him, bro. Like that's what I
100%.
Stop playing around.
100%.
Stop playing around, guys.
100%.
Going back to 20 targets at the game for Darren Waller.
Yeah, 13, give me 13 to rest up, man. Let's get back to
double digits.
Yeah,
gotta be double digits, at least over 10 for sure.
Yeah,
let's stop playing around now.
Eat them.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, like when I was watching the game, obviously the elephant in the room, the thing I'm sure it was on everyone's mind is, you know, how much of a difference does Henry Ruggs make? And I mean, I felt like at least today, I'm like, they have Henry Ruggs, like the way they've been using Henry Ruggs, like they still lose that game. You know what I mean? Like we were talking about, between the 20s where they've been using Henry Ruggs and to get down the field wasn't the problem today. They executed the game plan that part of the field extremely well. I thought, like we talked about, like they moved the ball down the field. I think damn near every drive they got in the red zone, but they were one of 6 in the red zone.
Yeah, 1 of 6, man.
Like even Deshaun Jackson's not going to help that. No, I mean, I do think Deshaun Jackson will help long term and you know, force teams to at least play like 3 high or to put a couple of safeties high and play cover 3 and play off. Whereas that was one of my biggest concerns, especially coming into this week without having that speed threat on the outside. But I mean, like today I was sitting there, I'm like, man, like, I mean, obviously the emotions that come with that situation are way different, and still play a huge factor in this game. But Henry Ruggs or not, you know, as a player, wasn't going to make a difference.
Yeah. I don't think he would have made a difference anyway. Because, you know, the Giants, I mean, they don't care if you pass underneath. They don't care if you pass short, man. They just, you're not going to pass.
The difference that Henry Ruggs makes is other people get more open. because
Yeah,
of
yeah.
his presence. That's the difference that he makes.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Jackson will have a similar, probably not as
Yeah.
big. It's not overstated, but he'll have a similar effect on the offense in terms of, like you're saying, Matt, hanging a safety on top of him, and that's going to let some other guys just get a little bit more space, a little bit more breathing room.
Yeah.
But, still, Zay Jones got to step up.
Yeah.
Brian Edwards, someone's got to step up and win outside. Like, that's not Deshaun Jackson's game. He's not going to run like a 10-yard like an 18-yard comeback and win a contested catch. Like, that's got to be – Edwards has to do that. That's what this offense is missing right now, someone who can win outside the numbers consistently. Like, no disrespect to Darren Waller. He's a tight end at the end of the day. Where does he win? He wins choice routes. He wins down the seam. He wins on a dig, stuff like that. We just got to see someone be able to okay, Carr needs to throw it up. If that's Edwards, if that's Zay Jones, that's why part of me is still holding out hope. Maybe OBJ is in the mix.
Probably. I bet he does. I bet that's who he's pushing for. 100%. I bet it is 100%. But I don't think he's going to get it. I don't think it's gonna happen.
Who are you saying is pushing?
You're saying Carr is pushing for it?
I would believe that 100%.
Because
in the red zone, I mean that's basically what they needed today. They needed an alpha separator today. And if they're not gonna have speed and they're gonna have to be like an underneath team and be intermediate team, you would need a player like that. But I don't, they're not going to do that at this point. So they're bringing in Deshaun Jackson. That's what they're doing. They kind of want to go back to what they're doing before. So that's what we're going to see. But I think the big factor of this game too is they can run the football now. So
yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Factor.
Josh Jacobs looked so much I thought this was his best game of the season. Like he finally looked healthy.
For sure.
When he was cutting and stuff like that, I'm like, man, he's actually covering ground on his jump cuts this year. Like he's actually clearing the guard and getting outside the tackle on those outside zones where he bounces it. That was the one of the few good things to see from the Raiders offense today.
Yeah. I thought Kenyon Drake, like I said, he looked really, really good today too. So, I mean, and the offensive line didn't play bad. I thought, Brandon Parker is, he played pretty bad, but I mean, especially because he helped cause that overthrow with Carr. I mean, he forced Carr to, not step into that throw and and release it early and throw it quicker than he really wanted to and sailed. Right.
Yeah.
If he makes that block, then Carr can step into it. And I mean, hopefully you hope he didn't miss it, but 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 the rest of the line, I mean, of course, all 22 is good to tell all, but
I did see there was one replay they showed where your boy John Simpson got himself a little pancake against Dexter Lawrence. I think it was. Yeah, cleared out a huge hole.
Yeah,
I got fired up when I saw that.
Yeah, bro. Simpson's been playing well, man. Last
that's his college teammate too. So
yeah,
they were John.
He got up and walked back to the huddle with a little pep in his step.
Yeah,
Dexter
for sure.
Lawrence, a little shoulder on the way back.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the line looks a whole lot better. So I just think at the passing game, it wasn't that Carr was under pressure. I just think that he just had nowhere to go, and he was a little confused too by some of the stuff that they were showing pre-snap and then show post-snap, which was forcing him to hold the ball and
yeah,
and messing with your mind, bro.
At the end of the day, though, we're seeing that happen like right now as Stafford is struggling against the Titans.
Yeah.
Teams that are getting into like these too high pattern match coverages right now that are in vogue in NFL football. It's forcing quarterbacks to really hold on. Like they're padding the ball. Either they're forcing it into a bad window or they're taking a sack. It's like having across the NFL. Look at Patrick Mahomes. This game is completely devolved because no one plays single high against him anymore. So that it's tough to throw when there's two safeties and when there's confusion on the defense. I'm interested to see what you're going to say about it too, Marcus, when you come back and you watch the all 22, because you would think that with how well they were running the ball, the defense wouldn't be able to be as multiple and disguise as much.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm curious what they ended up doing to to stop the run if they even attempted, or if they were continuing to sit back and too high the entire game.
Yeah, that's what I'm interested to see too. I like it, what were they doing on the back end, because
Right.
I'm telling you, there's times, on the broadcast when I was watching, I could tell Derek Carr saw something he didn't think he was going to see.
Right.
And he was holding the ball and he was like, oh, ooh. Or, and then he's trying to come back because he had time, and, they didn't have a great pass rush. So he still had time to like go through his reads, but he was getting to the third and fourth guy basically a lot.
Yeah.
And, even though that sounds great, from a scouting perspective, you don't want your quarterback hit going to the third and fourth read a lot. You know what I mean? That's not good. So, the defense played good. We haven't talked about defense at all. Stressing about this offense, I guess.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if you guys wanted to bring it up. I think defense did obviously should be a good enough job.
Yeah.
Held Giants to 17 points, pick six. Made it a 23 points that the Giants scored altogether. But I mean, usually, your team, you win, you score. You hold an offense to 17 points, usually you win that game.
Yeah.
And it didn't work out today. But at the same time, and I said this to Matt, of all the games on this schedule for the Raiders, okay, if the offense takes a dump, okay, and the defense needs to just gut it out and win it for you, this is their really only chance. If we're being completely honest, this is probably the worst offense that the Raiders are going to play this year.
Yeah.
This is their shutout game. And they didn't
right. Exactly. So that's only disappointing thing for me. Offense clearly struggling.
Yeah.
Okay, defense, you got it, it's not fair. It's, maybe unreasonable to expect, but at the same time, this is the time to do it. You got to do it.
Yeah.
And they weren't able to, continue this string of making all these turnovers, multiple turnover games and everything like that against a team that they cough the ball up. Danny Dimes, everyone knows he throws interceptions, he fumbles the ball. His ball security is terrible, right? And they were only able to get one on him. They got one, but it wasn't enough in the end,
Yeah. And I mean, third down is where they really struggled. I thought that, before, they got to the end of the game, I mean, the Giants were 6 of 10 on third down. And, after a couple of the first field goal drive, when, it's 17-16, they had they had the 3rd and 7, and then they had the 3rd and 8, and he was just converting those, and they just kept converting third down to third down. And I thought that was kind of something that a lot of people aren't talking about right now, that the Giants were pretty damn good on third down against the Raiders defense. And what you're talking about is holding them to 0. At that point, they kick a field goal and then they get that first third down. You want them to go 3 and out so the Raiders can get right back on the field. And then even if it became a field goal game, if the Raiders get off the field on third down in this game, then they're doing what you're talking about, which is keeping them just to 17 points the rest of the game. But
right now, this scheme, this defense, I'm gonna let you get in. Sorry, bro.
Good. Yeah.
This scheme, this defense, they are built for a shootout. That's what this team is built for. If a team is in the game, if Giants were in the game all game, they never had to abandon the run, right? They never had to be okay, we just got to air this thing out. We got to force the ball downfield. They were never put in that situation, right? And that's what happens. That's what when that happens, that's when this defense can make a bunch of plays. Okay. But as long as they're in the game, it's never going to be just the way that they coach it. They're not stopping the run. They're not emphasizing it. They're purposely not doing it. They're just trying to get after the quarterback. If it's a run, well, shoot, you got us. Okay. But we're still going to try to get after you. All right. And make sure we pressure your quarterback. We're not sacrificing that. That's a non-negotiable. And they were getting pressure, obviously.
Yeah.
They're also giving up, the holes. They're getting gashed. Holes are going to open up when you play like that, and I'll let Matt jump in because, you play defensive line, you understand how that works. When you get upfield, you're opening a hole. So,
yeah, I mean, like you talked about it too. There was one play we were talking about it. BD and I were talking about it before the show. There was one play where Jonathan Hankins got pinned inside a little bit, and it wasn't even necessarily a great block or he got reached or anything. He kind of just was favoring the inside. And, you bring up the point of them getting up the field. Part of the problem was the defensive end. I forget who it was, probably Max Crosby or whoever, just got straight up the field and left the hole about this wide for them to run through, which again, that's just kind of the scheme that what you're going to live and die by. And hopefully you get a linebacker to come get that guy, tackle that guy within, 3 yards or whatever. But like we were talking about, we knew the Raiders offense was going to struggle with everything that went on during the week and the Giants defense. So this was the week where we really needed the defense to kind of step up and have that outstanding game. It just didn't happen. But it was funny.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to say, I was going through the game in my head. I'm like, man, if I was a Raider fan or Raiders analyst like I am, be like, offense played pretty well between the 20s, struggled in the red zone, flip around the Raiders defense, the Giants offense. If I was a Giants analyst, it's like kind of the same thing. Like, between the 20s is really good. Raiders defense stiffened up in the red zone. It was kind of like two teams playing almost the same game. If you look back on it, it's just biggest difference was the Giants got 2 turnovers. The Raiders only got 1, or I guess the Giants got 3 with the one at the end. Yeah, with the one at the end. That was the difference in the game. I mean, 10 points directly right there, and then thwarts the Raiders' comeback attempt at the end. So that was it was frustrating. But I mean, like the biggest thing for me is like the defensive tackles right now. And again, it plays into what BD's talking about of, they're taught to go get after the passer first and then kind of react to the run. But right now they're just getting washed or either pushed back like 2-3 yards every single play, or either washed into like one big mess. When you see those big messes in the middle of the field, that's usually what's happening is defensive tackles are just not getting caught off guard, or they're slanting and they're just all making this mess in the middle. And that opens up any sort of B or C gap that teams have just been able to crush going back all season. But the one that stood out the most was the Bears game too. So, and then today, which Devontae Booker just went off and had a career day against the Raiders. So
and that's what I was about to say. The Giants have struggled to run the ball all year. They haven't
their offensive
running the ball. So yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say they've started 4 left guards. Like, we think the Raiders offensive line has had some bad problems. They've started 4 left guards. Their left tackle is out. Their starting center is out. Will Hernandez and Nate Solder are the only guys that like week 1 starters, and they're both like terrible. Like that was what was frustrating for me about like these defensive tackles. I'm like, I know this offensive line sucks. Like, and they like for whatever reason, they're still not working. So
I mean, they haven't been able to gain any traction all year. Devontae Booker, like he's having a career low yards per carry entering this game. And then he just goes and has it. So goes to show you how bad the Raiders run defense is.
Yeah.
And it's not being emphasized. And we'll see like if that's something that continues to be a thorn in the Raiders side. Technically, they did play well enough to win this game.
Yes.
During in normal circumstances, but in a scenario like this where you do need to stop the run because the team's in the game, the offense is in the game the entire time, you got to be able to stop the run, and they just weren't doing it. So Gus Bradley, he's got to get together with the brain trust and be like, okay, we can't just get upfield every single time.
They got to figure it out. They got to figure something out. I mean, but they got the Chiefs this week, so let's get upfield.
Let's get upfield. Yeah. Okay. No stopping the run.
Everything we just said, just screw it. But like
throw that out
for one more week. Let's put this off for one more week.
Yeah.
And then watch the Chiefs go off for like 100 or something, 150 on the ground.
No, Eddie Reed will refuse. Right? Eddie Reed will get 8 yards on for first down. Pass on back to back.
Yeah. Right.
So yeah, I think they'll be fine this week.
Anything else, guys, before we wrap this up?
I just want to ask about Marcus's your decor back there. You got what the Las Vegas printout and like Captain America. I haven't noticed this. You got print that out on like some like a Xerox machine or what, bro?
Actually, I got that for Christmas. I don't even know where they got that from.
Gotcha. I just love that those are the 2 things on the wall.
I guess that is a present from your ex-wife. Is a printout of the stadium, not like an actual like replica.
Hey, I like it.
Right now,
next to Captain America, even in space too. Next to each other, they got the whole wall.
Yeah. I'm trying to hang up my my Raiders banner, bro. But I'm trying to find this.
Gotcha.
I gotta do a whole bunch. I don't know. I'm gonna get it done. I'm gonna get it done here soon. But we'll get that happening.
Gotcha.
I don't really have any other thoughts. I would just say, I'm not freaking out. I don't think fans should freak out. That's all I'm gonna say. I think the Raiders, we have the Chiefs next week. If the Raiders offense stinks against the Chiefs, then I will freak out. But I am not gonna freak out because I think this is a good secondary. A lot of quarterbacks have had a little bit of issues with them. So I'm not gonna freak out. I'm not freaking out. And I do one thing I wanted to mention. It was funny, you brought up the red zone with the Raiders defense playing good in the red zone and the offense playing bad. It was funny, like the past 2 weeks, it was kind of the opposite. Or even for the whole season for the defense.
Right.
They're bad in the red zone. And the Raiders are actually better in the red zone this year.
Yeah.
I mean, they think they're 15th or 14th coming into the game, or I think maybe even higher than that, coming into the game. So
yeah,
this is kind of an oddity. And I know with Gruden, we had some of these things that happen all the time before. Red zone, they're falling off as a debacle. Let's see what happens. I think we'll be a little bit better than next week. I think
for sure.
What's the fun in that, Marcus?
I'm just saying.
I need you to be overly emotional.
Yeah,
that's give me all your takes.
Jump off a cliff, okay? Come on.
Like Daniel Sorensen's coming up next week, guys. There's no there's no Logan Ryans over there. I mean, there's Tyrann Mathieu. That's about it. But there's no Bradbury's, there's no Dory Jacksons, there's no first round picks and second round picks at corner.
It's true.
There's no guy who was a safety who probably would have went first round if he wasn't a safety, but the NFL doesn't like safety, so he went second.
Yeah.
I mean, last thing.
That's true. We'll be okay. Yeah. All right, go ahead.
Last thing, because you're bringing up Xavier McKinney, okay, part of the secondary. It was really interesting, this sequence, because Bradbury got banged up, and then he had to come out of the game. I don't know if you remember this.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when Waller, I think it was a choice route. Waller got that choice route in the very next play.
Yeah.
And then after that, after Bradbury came back in, then they tried to take a shot on his side.
Yeah.
I feel like the communication wasn't I feel like they were like, oh, Bradbury's out. Let's dial up a shot play on this next play. And then didn't realize that he came back in, because it seemed like a weird thing. Why would they try to double move against him with Zay Jones? Like you saw the little pump fake, Zay Jones, this little stutter, before he goes. And I think that because let's put it this way. Xavier McKinney never got from the middle of the field to the sideline in college. That's not part of his game. He runs 4.6. Okay.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
But the pump fake stutter, I think that kind of threw the timing off and allowed Xavier McKinney to get over to the sideline. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? He never had that range. Where did this range come from? All of a sudden. So I think that kind of threw off the timing. And if they just tried that to play before, James Bradbury's out, some random corners in who's not a starter. If you want to take a shot with Zay Jones, okay, no stutter, just take a shot down the field. You got to back a corner in. It just seemed weird. Why would you come and take the shot? I don't know. Maybe they thought he was hurt. It was a weird sequence, though. I was so confused.
They weren't scared of Bradbury at all, bro. I mean, they attacked him a lot, actually. They weren't scared.
I mean, Hunter Renfrow got that touchdown. Yeah,
I mean, they actually avoided Dory Jackson more than they avoided Bradbury, which I thought was interesting. But Jackson had a good game too. So
I mean, look, it doesn't matter. Your starting corner goes out, you take a shot.
Yeah.
Dial up a fade and throw it at the replacement. It doesn't matter who it is. It's just, you got some guy coming in cold off the bench. It's 45 degrees in New York. Cold weather. Raiders always struggle. 1 o'clock starts on the East Coast, right?
Yeah.
It gets cold and everything. But that's just, to me, that's the best practice. You want to take a shot against the backup. Don't wait for the guy to come back in before you take a shot. I don't know. That's just weird to me.
Yeah, I had the same thought of when he went out, I was like, oh, take it, easy call. Next play is the shot, and then it wasn't. And then I mean, there could be some credence to what you're saying of oh, weren't expecting him at least back the next play.
Yeah, the next play, right?
Yeah. Right. But I don't know. I felt like on that one part of I don't know, maybe you guys saw something differently. I felt like Carr was kind of staring it down too, which is going to help McKinney's range, right? Because he doesn't have to honor anything else. He can just break on it and he can get it a little bit.
Yeah, it's there. I mean, he started down, he did the pump fake. It took a lot longer for that ball to get there.
Yeah, because the double move forces stared at. But I mean, that was weird too, because I feel like that was a 2-man route. I'm trying to remember. There wasn't a lot of deception on that one,
which would also help. Which is also
so I don't know if
play more.
It could have been a check too, because that wasn't third down, was it? I don't remember, but no,
I don't have the play-by-play here yet. But I just thought that was a weird sequence at the end. But that's it. Unless you guys have anything else that you want to
No, we're
throw in
good.
here.
We're good,
Raider
guys.
Nation, we appreciate everyone for tuning in to the Raiders. It's the Tape Don't Lie Instant Reaction podcast. Joining us today is Matt Holder. You can follow him on Twitter at mholder95. Also follow Marcus Johnson at the Mark John NFL and myself at BD Williams 18. That's it.